I'm going to assume that they did it just for us because we're on vacation and celebrating. That, thank you. Today they made Juneteenth a federal holiday. Yes, yes, yes. Cheers to that. And so, I posted about this, and some people, I'm having mixed reactions. Some people are saying, you know what, that is really just too little too late. What does it really mean? It's just window dressing. And so I just wanted to see your opinion on is this important? Does it matter that this has happened? I'll just share for me that while it may not be significant to some people, now you can't ignore our history. Now we cannot pretend as a country that 4th of July granted freedom to all of us. And I have this picture of me, and I'm dressed up as a Native American, which back then we used to say Indians, and my friend was dressed up, and we used to have this 4th of July parade. And I really, for a long time, thought that 4th of July was mine. And I used to get excited because my history had not been taught. No one told me. I don't know. For some reason, I understood that there was slavery. I understood that Africans had been enslaved. But I did not connect it with 4th of July not being my holiday. And it is striking to me now that I just was never taught my history, that schools didn't teach my history. Now, it can't be ignored. Juneteenth is on the calendar. Corporations, schools will be let out. So there must be some explanation. Yes. So we must then talk about America's true history that we try to ignore. So that's what it means to me, but I would really love to hear what you guys are thinking today.
I agree with everything that you said. It's not money for me. It doesn't give me my acres. However, it's a start, right? And everything starts with awareness and visibility. And to your point about driving education and the right education, because none of us understood what Independence Day truly meant or how we got there. So now the fact that we have Juneteenth, it will be a national holiday. We will not allow them to dilute it and try to mix it with anything else like with King's Day. So y'all make sure that you start that drive right now, because that's what we take two away. And I love it because the taxpayers are going to have to fund it, because at least the government shuts down that day. So it's a step in the right direction from my perspective, because we're going to find a positive to celebrate in this, because things aren't going to change overnight. How many years? 401? So we got some more time and more work to do. That's my perspective.
Well, first of all, I'm glad that you are bringing this up for our dinner. And I must say that I'm embarrassed that only in the last 10 years that I even knew about Juneteenth. And it's a shame that we are not taught our history. And the fact that a whole state continued to enslave in bondage human beings 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation is just a shameful part of our history. So I'm glad that we now have our 12th federal holiday. I am glad that everyone throughout, all Americans will now know this part of our history, which is something that we should recognize, which is painful. And that hopefully we can have a way to path forward where we will have more equity, we will have more inclusion. I mean, at work today, folks who were white, who were from Texas, said that they knew about this obviously all of their lives and was happy that it now is a federal holiday. And I hope this is the path to more education about our people.
So for me, it's like, when I heard this, it's like breaking a generational curse. Really, because my two sons have graduated from high school, so they won't be taught this in high school, but their next generation will. Their children will. My grandchildren will. So it's like breaking a generational curse. And for me, immediately when I heard this news, I was so excited. Now, my company that I work for gave tomorrow off because of this holiday. And I'm just like, really? This is like, it's our time. It's been our time, but now they, like you said, they can't deny us. They can't deny us. And if, people don't like it, it is what it is. We can't say what we didn't get back, but what we have now, we can keep going for our future.
So many good points made already. For me, it has to do with what I appreciate about the forced acknowledgement for some people that this is in the history of this country. But then it also connects the reasoning about why poverty and, why there are so many still real world disproportionate numbers between, and the wealth gap and all of that, because all of it is about, like, you hold people in bondage and don't give them what everyone else around them has and then say go, and there's no like real proof being acknowledged about what that was. I think this is a step in the direction of no more denial. This is why, and you have to pay attention to it. Right, government agencies, private agencies, teachers, you have to teach new generations about everything that we consider holidays. So I really appreciate, whether they like it or not, everybody's going to have to learn, and the narrative has to shift now.
But let me ask one question, because I have gotten a lot of comments on my page where people are they're really kind of disgusted, right? And I believe that Black people are so frustrated because change is not enough. And so sometimes, even when I put the best of news, like it could be the first Black this, and they're like, really, we're still in the first Black? And they don't want to celebrate. Or even with this holiday, they're like, I mean, it's nothing. It's not important. Is that valid, though? Is that feeling valid? Because I see it a lot. So I would love to know your thoughts on that. Like, is that emotion valid to be just not real happy about it either, because you're just tired?
All right, I'm glad that Randy B asked that question, because my response was right on point with that. It sets the precedent that we needed in this country, because if you don't document something, they don't believe in anything that's not documented. So this precedent was set up for us as Black people, an opportunity to really acknowledge what we've been through. And once you acknowledge what we've been through, then we can start to heal. And we don't believe in therapy in our community, and that's sad, but we're starting to understand what that means and the gravity of it. So this will be a stepping stone for us to really start the grieving process, because what happened in this country to us, and that's why, to your question, is apathy. Apathy is what we have in our communities way too often and too much. And that means they don't even think it's an opportunity for them to change. They're going to continue to do to us what they've been doing to us for years and years and years. And we have to talk to them and build their trust back up so we can start to let them heal and give them the tools they need to heal. So, thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
So, for me personally, baby. So my last corporate job was in music at a major PRO, and I didn't have a voice. I came in because I was like, you know what, I just want to get this job, and they promised me I would move up soon, so I came in at a really lower tier. So the first time I spoke up, we were having our major pop awards, the whitest award you can possibly think of, and they said it's on June 19th, and I raised my hand and I said, baby, cancel. I have so many emotions about it, because my boss looked at me and she was like, what do you mean? I said, it's Juneteenth. We just had George Floyd. This is all 2020. We just had George Floyd. We just had all this stuff happening, and you're going to put the whitest awards possible on June 19th. You guys, they always miss the mark. They always miss the mark. No. This company personally misses the mark. A lot of them do. But this is your opportunity to do it right. And then I'm so proud that I was one of the people who really fought for, we had it off last year. So we got it off because of my voice, because I decided to speak up and say, like, listen, y'all are deaf. Y'all need to really, so in one meeting where my boss was like, okay, yeah, you're right, maybe we should cancel it. And then it went to the higher ups and they were like, everyone should get off. Y'all are tired. We should make a point to it. So the music industry was very, very vital in making sure, if you look at some of my colleagues in New York they did a Black Tuesday and a lot of things like that. They were so vital in making sure that we had that off, or at least a blackout for the most part. So I feel so emotional about it, to see that it's a national, I'm like, yeah, I feel like my little voice coming in with 13 years experience, taking a coordinator position, taking a 65% pay cut, that I got the opportunity to speak up in a marketing department as the only black person in the department, baby. So at least that I did something, you know what I mean? So I'm not there anymore, but listen, let's. So our voice counts, we are important, and this is a step in the major direction for us, so how I feel about it.
So for the first time in my country, in my company's over 50-year history, this week we had our first series of events celebrating Juneteenth and truly recognizing Juneteenth. It consisted of a storytelling session, it consisted of a line dancing session. We had all of these outside organizations and people come in to really teach and give a better understanding around what Juneteenth means and the importance of it. And although the events are still virtual, and especially for it to be a company whose roots and founder are known as Trump supporters, this is a huge deal for this Fortune 100 company. And just to be a part of that DE&I effort at my company, when I tell you it's so exciting. 5 years ago when I first started there, I was like, oh, I'm not gonna be here very long. I was like, I'm gonna give them a good 6 months. And just seeing the change that has happened and knowing, okay, they get it, they're awake, they're awakening, they're going in that, making those steps to go into that right direction. I'm like, okay, maybe I can stick around. So I'm definitely excited about it being a federal holiday, and I'm hoping that more companies will have that awareness and begin to pay attention to the changes that are taking place in our country and the importance that it means for everyone at their organizations.
So being from the Bay Area, Juneteenth was my favorite because we had the best parties. Like, that was the best block parties, the best, so it was always a wonderful celebration. So I'm extremely proud that it is a national holiday, and it is probably the true, in my opinion, the true Independence Day, right, for us. Now, I do understand people's apprehension of why today, why now? And I thought, is it because they want us to stop talking about education and critical race theory in the schools, so now we can shut up? So I guess that's my question. I'm like on a wait and see. After Trump, I'm on a wait and see. I can't get excited about, I would have been excited if this happened before Trump. I mean, like, I feel it's like we supposed to have it. That's where I am now. And I'm proud of it, but I just don't trust anything anymore. Like I don't trust that people are doing things just for good anymore. It's horrible. So that's my, I guess, PTSD or whatever from Trump. Yeah.
So you said, do you feel like that's a fair question? And then thinking about what you just said, I think it's both and. I think that because of the trauma, because of all of the things, like we all got PTSD in this country, by the way, but then also Black people in this country, absolutely. And so for those who don't believe in like why, or I think it does multiple things, which is why it's necessary. So it can be, we can have the opinion that, oh, here we go, another little bit too late. But it's also making an impact in ways that have long been necessary. So I feel like we should have the opportunity to have people who are like, no, but then also be respectful of, yep, and still go forward with it. It doesn't hurt anybody, right? And so, and it can be beneficial for people who even don't believe in it in ways they're not aware of. So, yeah, that's it.
So I guess to Randy's point, it's a great question to ask, is it too late? Is it enough? And I don't think it's too late. Of course, I don't think it's enough. And we're traumatized, and I think I'm trying to celebrate the good, like we got it. But I'm also very much bracing myself for after, and in two areas. And I don't remember since I've taken history, but in my mind I'm thinking about it's a federal holiday, but do the states have to adopt it? What we went through with the MLK holiday. So that fight is coming, right? And then are the companies, private companies, going to recognize it? Like they choose not to recognize Columbus Day. You know, they say we won't do this, but we'll give you an extra day at Thanksgiving. So I think that all the negativity around that is coming. So while I'm happy, I'm certainly cautiously bracing myself for all the fighting and which states are going to push back and what companies, large companies, how they're going to embrace it. So, but I'm going to be optimistic and say this is a start. I'm looking forward to it being taught, added into the curriculum in schools, because you know, like Courtney said, I only learned about it maybe 10 years ago. I'm ashamed to say that, but I did. And so I want that our young children of all races to understand and get the education that they need so we can start moving forward.
So, not directly to Juneteenth, but my opinion is that Joe Biden didn't become president when he wanted to, but he became president when we needed him. And he's the president now that would be open to honoring Black people in America at this time. And I don't think this is as far as we need to go, but it is the first step, and he's the first president that would do it. So I'm very pleased with it, and we still have more work to do.
Juneteenth, referencing June 19th, it was a horrible event in our history. However, at this point in time, I believe that we have some more important issues that need to be addressed than having that be a holiday, like equal pay, transparency with pay, education, crime, police brutality, etc.
Juneteenth to me it's exciting right now simply because in a lot of ways I've only learned about Juneteenth probably in the last 5 years. So really getting an understanding and being able to share that understanding with others has been really empowering for me and for my family and my community. As far as it becoming a national holiday, I'd have to be honest to say that I have mixed feelings about that. I'm not really sure that the motivations for doing so are really pure and that they have the best interest of our community at heart. But we will hold tight, and we will see, and we will hold those accountable who have instituted this holiday.
Okay, first let me express that the acknowledgement of Juneteenth is wonderful. However, my hope is that we will learn exactly what that means, the premise behind it, the purpose behind it, and not that it's used for political motivation so that it can assuage some people's guilt for what they do and put more work behind it. That's my hope. That's my prayer.
Happy that the holiday is now recognized as a federal holiday. There is more to be done, and I think a first step would be to make sure that it is richly folded into the curriculum so that our children and our children's children have a understanding of what the holiday is, and maybe that there's a coupling of not only what a holiday is, but what the history is behind it, that we'll have an understanding that isn't just a day off, but what really happened to Black people, happened to people that were enslaved, that they didn't find out that they were free for months on end, that the entire, the totality of the holidays is richly folded into our curriculum.
So I'm understanding that Juneteenth is now a national holiday, and I applaud the Biden administration for their efforts to make this a national holiday. My main issue is, like others have stated, there's additional work that needs to be done in more critical areas. And for me, it's voter suppression. I mean, coming from and being born and raised in a state from Georgia, and knowing that my hometown is discriminating mostly against Black and brown people is hurtful. So I again, great start, Biden, love it. However, let's do something about these states, seriously about these states that are forcing the people, specifically Black and brown folks, out of their right to vote.
I like the idea that we have Juneteenth now as a national holiday. I have no problem with that. What needs to happen, though, is they don't need to start restricting the amount of education behind slavery. I think that needs to be put in place. Also,
we didn't ask for a national holiday. I mean, it's really, really nice, but I feel like it's a feel-good type thing. Just like doing away with Aunt Jemima on the bottle of the syrup. So, I mean, hey, we'll take it. What I don't want to happen is that it turns into something that's surface. It needs to be a whole lot deeper. It's more than a holiday, and that's my feeling.